Reporting live from Paris. If you're new to my channel, my name is Lonneke and I'm a Dutch girlie living in Amsterdam. I'm super passionate about traveling and I'm currently on a solo trip in Paris. And I love making content about this, and in the past I've gotten some questions about how I do all of this. So I decided to make a video about it because I really loved watching those videos before I went solo traveling and they really helped me a lot. So I thought, let's share some experiences. I've written some things down, that's how serious I take it. Let me get a sip of my coffee. We can begin. So first up, how did I start solo traveling? And I have to admit, I think I started solo traveling before I actually knew that I was solo traveling. So in my late teens and early 20s, I was working in the music industry. And for that, I went on a couple of trips for like studio sessions or other meetings and stuff. And I would often stay at hotels alone, stay in cities alone. And obviously I would work during the day and be around people. But in the downtime that I had, which often wasn't a lot, I really thought about, what do I want to do now? I'm by myself. How do I relax? How do I enjoy my time alone? And I think those were kind of the first steps in me being comfortable and enjoying my own company. And not everybody might have those experiences, but I think those were the baby steps that got me into solo traveling. If you're thinking, I would like to try solo traveling, but how do I start? Because I get that booking that trip can feel a little bit intimidating. Honestly, it still feels a bit intimidating to me to this day. And if you're not sure if you like it, then I suggest start small. Maybe go away for the day just by yourself and do something that you would normally do with a friend or family member. You can visit a different city in your own country and just feel what it's like to have lunch by yourself and really take the time to do the things that you want to do with no one rushing you, no one to talk to basically. Because I don't think that you should always go from 0 to 100. You can also go from 0 to 20 and just experience spending time by yourself a lot closer to home. So if you're comfortable with that, then it comes to actually booking the trip. And I don't know why, I know I love solo traveling, but booking it can still feel a bit anxiety inducing. I don't know why that is. Maybe just the feeling like, I can't go back. Now I really have to go. What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not gonna enjoy myself? But a thought that really helps me is that wherever you are in the world, if you really want to go home, you can. That's just the world right now. You can be on the other side of the planet. If you are having such a shit time and you're feeling homesick, you can go home. And you won't be there within an hour, but there will always be a plane leaving or a train leaving or a bus leaving that's heading towards your country or continent or whatever. You are never stuck somewhere. And that thought really helps me feel at ease. It's never really that big of a commitment. You might think, but then I've spent the money, or then I have to cancel stuff and I won't get a refund. And yes, that's sad. But honestly, if you really need to get home, then you should. But you'll also find out that because of that thought, you won't want to go home. Because a lot of the times when I'm somewhere and I'm not really feeling my best self, it's usually because I'm tired or I'm hungry and I need to regroup. I need to chill out. I need to get some sleep, maybe take a nap, have something to drink, have something to eat. And then after that downtime, I always feel 100 times better. I'm in a positive mood again and I can go out and explore whatever city that I'm in. And I've never been in a situation where I thought I'm gonna go home right now. Something else that I always keep in mind that I think is very important is safety. And when you're budgeting for a certain trip, I think it's very important to keep in mind that you should never save money on safety. I always take into account that I'm gonna take Ubers, I'm gonna stay at places that, from what I can tell online, are safe. I usually look up what other people say about certain areas or hotels or Airbnbs. And if I have to pay a little bit more to stay somewhere that could be safer, then I'm gonna do that. I'm just not gonna put myself in situations that could end up being unsafe. So as much as I like to go on an adventure, I know that I really value feeling safe, and if I'm somewhere where it feels a bit iffy, I'm just gonna book that Uber and I don't care about how much it costs because safety is everything, especially if you're a woman. Something else about solo traveling is doing certain things that you usually do with other people. And then I'm mostly referring to having dinner or lunch or breakfast by yourself. Now, obviously, that's not really a thing when you're like having breakfast in a park or somewhere outside, because there's often many people sitting there by themselves. But it can take a while to get used to sitting at a restaurant by yourself. So far, I have spent time by myself in Los Angeles, New York City, Stockholm, Paris, and even Japan. I'm probably forgetting a few places. But all of those places had a different experience. I feel like people in LA or New York City are a lot more focused on themselves. And as a solo traveler, that's nice because no one is really watching you. Lots of people are doing things by themselves. And usually in the States, when you have dinner by yourself, they even put you at the bar, so you're not like sitting at a whole table by yourself. And it's just a little more cozy. And you're often sitting next to people that are also sitting there by themselves. This was a little different in Stockholm, and it's also very different from where I am right now, because the whole vibe in those cities is sitting on a terrace, doing some people watching. I don't see that many people sitting by themselves, which is also different from Japan. I thought that Japan was solo travel heaven, because Japan is just very focused on spending time by yourself. So basically every cafe and restaurant had spots for people eating alone. So I would be sitting there in a sushi restaurant in an entire row of people sitting there by themselves, probably also solo traveling, and that felt really nice. I never felt awkward. And these past few days in Paris were a little different, because I sat at restaurants where I was the only person sitting there by myself. However, I really decided to not care what people think, because whenever I sit somewhere with a friend, I never look at someone else who's sitting there by themselves thinking about what they're doing or why they're sitting there alone. Because one, I don't care, and two, good for them. I usually just bring a book or listen to a podcast, and that's it. It's not that big of a deal. But also don't feel bad if you find that a little scary. If you go to certain places where the weather is nice, there will probably always be parks or areas that you can just hang out outside, and you can just try that first. Which brings me to my next point. Pick locations that you know you can flourish in. I live in Amsterdam and I love being in a city. That is my thing. So I knew that when I went to Japan, which was very far away, that I knew I was going to feel good in cities. Because over there, I can do the same things that I do at home, but just experience it in a different way. I can grab my coffee, I can go to workout classes, I can do a bit of shopping. I know that I probably wouldn't feel good by myself if I was like somewhere off the grid, and that's different for everyone. So it's important to keep that in mind. Don't force yourself to do things that are so out of your comfort zone, because it's better to have your own recipe for enjoying spending time by yourself. And the reason why I'm so passionate about traveling and doing it solo as well is what it has taught me. Because ever since I was young, I was feeling pretty comfortable with spending some time by myself, sleeping somewhere alone in a hotel. It didn't really feel weird to me, but still, however, for a long time, I wasn't good at being alone. Even in uni, when I lived with roommates, I liked hanging out in my room, but I also hated it if no one else was home. And I also spent the majority of my 20s being single. I was very lucky to have good friends that I traveled the world with, and I wouldn't want to change that. But learning to enjoy your own company is the most valuable thing, I think. I think it prevents you from getting into shitty relationships or waiting around for other people to join you on trips, which realistically won't always happen. Traveling solo has made me so independent, especially when things go wrong. I now know that I can get my shit together if something goes wrong. I am not dependent on anyone. I know what to do, and that independence sticks with me in everyday life. And I know that I can give myself the things that make me happy, and that the people that I love in my life are a wonderful addition, but they don't have to create that happiness for me, because I can do that by myself. I've learned more about who I am and how I deal with situations. I've learned what I need to do to create downtime, because I can be someone who's always in a rush and I want to do everything at the same time as fast as possible, which is not always good. And most of all, it also made me really appreciate home and the people that I have over there. And it feels really fulfilling to go somewhere, enjoy spending time by myself, but also enjoy going home knowing that I'm gonna be around the people that I love, and that I'm just very lucky to have that. So if you think about solo traveling, I say definitely do it. You will become a better person because of it, and you'll be able to tell your kids about all those cool adventures that you had by yourself. And if you have questions about it, or you just want someone to talk to about it, then always feel free to send me a message, send me a DM wherever, because I would love to help people out. Or if you're going to certain places and you want recommendations on where to stay, I have those as well. I would just really love to be a big sister in this whole solo travel thing. So in that way, when you're solo traveling, you're never really alone. I have some other vlogs about this whole trip in Paris. So if you want to see what I've been up to, then definitely watch those. My next trip is going to be New York City. It's going to be semi-solo because I'm also going to visit people, but stay tuned for all of that. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!